Hello and welcome everybody to this tutorial on the passive voice brought to you by Bildung Interaktiv. We have two chapters here. First, we will explain when to use the passive, and then we will explain how to build the passive, which is the far bigger chapter, of course. There will be things like to be and by agent, the passive with modal auxiliaries, the passive and verbs with prepositions, and then the progressive passive, of course. But first, a look at when to use the passive. Now we have an active sentence here, someone robbed this bank, and in the passive the sentence becomes this bank was robbed by someone. And we can already see when we use the passive. The by someone does not really need any additional information to the sentence because we just don't know who robbed this bank. So the explanation here is we use the passive in cases where we don't know who or what is the cause for an action. Let me note that advanced learners also use the passive for a better style. If you can switch between active and passive effortlessly, this will actually better your style. And this will please your English teachers. Now let's have a look at how to build the passive next. First, there is to be and by agent. Now we have the sentence here, I wrote this tutorial, which is an active sentence. And in the passive, we have this tutorial was written by me. Now we can already see what happened here, and this is the rule. The passive is built with a form of to be. Now you have to be careful because the form of to be needs to be put in all the different tenses. Form of to be and the past participle. Use by to add who or what is responsible for an action. Now in this case, the sentence is, this tutorial was written by me. And I want this information in there because I was the one who wrote the tutorial, so this is important. And let's have a look at the different tenses. Now you have a list of the most important tenses on the left, and then there is a passive sentence on the right, and I will read this out to you. In the present tense, a sentence could look like, the book isn't opened. In the present perfect, the box has been opened. Simple past, my bike was stolen. The past perfect, had this song been recorded. The conditional one, a new house would be built. And in the will future, this museum will be loved. Let's continue with the passive voice and the modal auxiliaries. Now here's an active sentence. I can answer this question. How can we put the sentence into the passive? There it is. This question can be answered, and if you want to, you can add by me, but there's no need really. Let's have a look at the rule. Here, the word order of a statement. Now the statement is important, please. It's a positive sentence. The word order of a statement is auxiliary, which are can, must, ought to, may, and so on. There's a lot of them. Auxiliary followed by be. No tenses here, just be plus past participle. Now you have to be careful. As I've pointed out to you, this is a statement. In the question, this passive sentence would then become can this question be answered by me? So the word order is different. Now we have a couple of exercises now, and I will show you a sentence on the left-hand side of the screen, and then I want you to hit the pause button. Pick up pen and paper and write down this sentence in the passive. All right, now go ahead. You should open the window, hit the pause button, write down the passive sentence. And the answer is, the window should be opened. Next sentence, he must prepare for his English test. And in the passive, his English test must be prepared for. Already highlighted the preposition for here. You need it, okay? I will explain this in the next chapter, but watch out for it. Your English teachers will actually be watching out for this too. Next sentence, you ought to wash the car, which in the passive becomes this car ought to be washed. The kids need not buy bread, which in the passive is bread need not be bought. If you want to, please feel free to add by the kids. And then we have, has anyone done this already? And in the passive, has this already been done? And then we have, someone must feed the cat, which in the passive becomes the cat must be fed. Let's continue. Verbs with prepositions, the next chapter. A new active sentence for you. I have already paid for your new bike, and in the passive we have your new bike has already been paid for. The for, the preposition, is important, as I've already pointed out. You need it, so please put it there. And this is the rule. Verbs and their prepositions, and there's a lot of them, to ask for, to talk about, and so on. Verbs and their prepositions may not be separated in the passive. All right, so in the positive statement, please put in the past participle followed by the preposition. And the last chapter before we have a couple of exercises for you is the passive voice and the progressive. Here's an active sentence. Mark is reading the magazine at the moment. Now we can actually put this into the passive and it becomes the magazine is being read by Mark at the moment. And here's your rule. To make a passive statement, again a positive sentence, to make a passive statement in the present and in the past progressive, use to be. Now here, be careful, you need all the tenses, followed by being, which always stands alone, no changes here, followed by the past participle. This only works in the present and in the past progressive. There's really no way to use the passive with any other tense. All right, and now we have a little exercise for advanced learners. This is complicated, so I propose that you know what the procedure is. You will see the sentence on the left. Hit pause, write down the correct sentence, and then check if it's correct. You should cut out this photograph. Hit pause, please. And then you have this photograph should be cut out. Don't forget the preposition. We were not laughing at you. And in the passive, you were not being laughed at. Don't forget the preposition. Feel free to add by us if you want to. Had Mark drawn this picture? And in the passive, had this picture been drawn by Mark? Past perfect. Next sentence, we would never have given the book away. And in the passive, we have this book would never have been given away. They could not offer him money. And in the passive, money could not be offered to him. Let me point something out to you here. Look at the active sentence, they could not offer him money. You have two objects here, him and money. Now, the money, which is one of the objects, goes to the beginning of the passive sentence. Money could not be offered, and then we have offer something to somebody, so it needs to be money could not be offered to him here. Don't forget the to needs to be there. And then we have, will our teacher write a test? And in the passive we have, will a test be written by our teacher? Thank you very much for listening. Find more tutorials and information here on YouTube and also on our website.